and welcome everybody to our post-game chat for Call of Cthulhu Fish in a Barrel. We have literally just finished our game, and now we're here to have a little chat. So, how you guys doing? Do you have fun?
Oof, yeah, I really thought we were all about to die there at the end.
So, 100%, you guys were so close. Like, I have like a little, like a clock behind the scenes, and yeah, like
Time was up.
time was basically up.
I felt the clues were there and the laced into the narrative about increasing and surging, and you get the impression that this is about to happen. I thought, well, clearly we're important to this because otherwise we would be dead. And the bug thing, I mean, obviously, somehow, Ben, my whistling at it failed. I'm not sure how that
That's how you figured it out.
Yeah, when I was like, wait, if it, and you were like, I don't think it was trying to, doing what you said so much as to stop anything happening to you. I was like, okay, so we're probably important components in this. And I remembered that we were the ones being given the special juice.
So yeah, shall we start at the beginning?
Yeah.
I really liked that we are all sort of geniuses in our own way. We have these enhanced stat sheets. We are kind of these characters who have this backstory that is recent empowerment due to this weird thing we've been drinking, and we've all kind of figured it out almost. That we realize that there is something to this juice. It's like giving us these, like absinthe or something, like Ben said. Like it gets the creative juices flowing, and it was a really cool kind of jumping off point right at the start. Like right at the start, you were making us take sanity checks and noting down if we passed or failed, from just drinking shots. Was there anything to that?
So it's little bits along those lines of kind of sanity that you guys are losing is sort of adding into this magic ritual that is happening later on. But also it's a way to kind of like feed you guys these like visions of sort of what could happen, what is going to be the case, as it's meant to be you're seeing these things that are all sort of these disjointed things out of time. That this whole thing, if you want the broad strokes of what is going on behind the scenes, is roughly this idea of there is a race super duper far in the future, billions and billions of years. It's basically the end of the universe, and they are trying to make a portal. They're working with these cultists, sending things back through time to try and like secure a gateway, so they can basically just move their civilization from the end of time back to here, and then they can live for another billions and billions of years, and then they do that again. Don't ask me to explain the full time travel mechanics of it, but that's roughly sort of the premise of what is happening here. And a big part of this race is they're all about sort of knowledge and information, and this could be the music, the arts, science, maths, anything like that. And the only way they could make this kind of stable enough portal was having people who are genuinely inspired, actually these masters of their craft, that would have been able to potentially give you some more information. It was like one of the clues that just like didn't super come up from just roughly where you guys were, and the sort of immediate like leaving of the barrel. But there was going to be this big list of all the other regulars who had been giving the juice, and how their names were all getting crossed out, and that basically they turned out that they were unsuitable keys. They needed this smart enough group, because your big brain energy is what was needed by this super smart race to be able to use to come back.
I see.
And so it's because
special.
you guys are...
So we were smart. It wasn't just the juice.
So you were all like incredibly gifted, but by giving you guys this this mixture, it was able to like amplify your creative juices. But of course, it's not fully perfect for humans because it is slowly driving all of you insane at the same time that your bodies are not meant to handle.
Too much knowledge.
Yeah, too much knowledge, that you are getting knowledge that is outside of time, that you should not be necessarily having. And so the big Bugulon, the character Pike, he was one of these cultists, and he had kind of given over his body as sort of like a vessel for one of the like a servitor style creature that works for this race in the future, that almost in like a Terminator style way, they sent one back through his body and its main job was to kind of make sure that you guys survive and ideally get you to the location, but didn't necessarily need to. That even if you guys had have just fled, the game would have ended with you just making a bunch of power rolls and then slowly losing sanity until you're all sat in the middle of the countryside and you just all begin chanting and then your bodies turn to dust and this portal is opened and then creatures come through.
Would it have been like end of the world stuff?
Yeah, it's quite like abstract, and so this is like a different style of a Call of Cthulhu scenario. Often, like these pre-made games are, I don't know, maybe like 50, 60 pages long, which will give like loads of explanation on how every single part works. Whereas this game, is part of this style of game called the Seeds of Terror, where actually this campaign is only maybe like 4 or 5 pages, and it just gives you the most core information. And then it's up to you to embellish all the other bits that kind of happen. And so you kind of like fill in the gaps. And I really wanted to try just seeing how one of these went and seeing roughly how it worked out. And I feel like it was pretty cool.
What did you think we would do?
So one part, I kind of thought, right, you're gonna talk to the guy. Thought that was gonna happen. You're gonna talk to Doyle. You're gonna have a chat with him, and either he will take you upstairs, he'll take you to Pike, and then the Bugman scene will happen up there. The bug, boom, it'll burst out. It will instantly kill Doyle. You guys will run for your lives. Hopefully you've gotten the information, gotten like the location from the ledgers. Like he would have given you enough time to sort of find that. You guys would have made it to the warehouse. We would have then done a warehouse scene. Or if you upset him, you guys would have snuck up and had that scene going on. Have the Bugman burst out. You would have found the information. You would have run, made it there. Or you would have walked up and just chatted with the mobsters. Like, I'm genuinely sad that we didn't get the mobster scene because I had like a whole bit that I wanted to do with these 3 mobsters who were playing poker up there. And
Right.
like had stupid characters for the 3 of them.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Sorry.
No, but was 100% just not expecting I think the
escalation.
causing the distraction and going out and like immediately threatening these guys and the flubbing of some rolls and how quickly it got super hostile.
It did go bad very quickly.
And then was just like, oh god, like how chaotic is this scene gonna become? Because you guys poking around upstairs, like the moment you've got the info, well, I kind of want the bug scene. I want I want it to be this horrific creature bursting out of this guy's body. And it's like, well, I guess we'll have things happening downstairs and things happening upstairs, and then just the muddiness of like what is going on in between. And so full super carnage mode.
Could we have, if we had have just not done anything with the bug, would he have just left us alone? Would he have just...
Yeah, he would have been like spooky and scary. I would have like had the threat factor there. I would have made it seem way more dangerous. But if it had have happened upstairs, so one of the other things was if you had have chatted with these goons, I always wanted the insect kill Doyle because he's only there to give you a little bit of exposition to move you upstairs. Would have had him be killed, but if those guys were all hanging out at the top of the stairs, they probably all could have had access to a Tommy gun, and they would have like hosed this creature down, and then maybe they would have joined you guys attacking the warehouse later on. But if you had have had those mobsters, suddenly there would have been some cultists with pistols and shotguns, and it would have turned into
more of a battle,
like a way more ridiculous like shootout scene.
Oh yeah, it did feel like when we got to the warehouse, and we're sort of sneaking around and trying to do things. It was like we were kind of it felt like we were kind of in a bad way. Do you know what I mean? With
our 2 best fighters already injured, no weapons.
Yeah.
And then we were a bit disjointed. I think P-Flex wanted to ram raid the place, and definitely P-Flex felt the urgency. Like Tom was laying down, and we were sort of insecure about that. And we also felt like approaching these cultists in the middle of their ritual as 3 injured, unarmed people who are already pretty traumatized.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, how are we going to fucking stop this? And I think at some point, definitely, it felt like it was hopeless, right? Like, I was like, I'm just going to fucking join them. Tyrion was like, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't think of a way to like actually get in and stop this ritual, especially given that cultist then stabbed me. I was like, there's no way I'm helping now.
Yeah, I think you getting the sort of the mega fail on that and was like, oh no, bad times.
But that did let me get in. So even though you failed and got stabbed, it let me go in and set the leader on fire. I don't know if that mattered or if that was just icing on the cake. Like, would Bryony have not been able to finish her off if she hadn't been burned? I don't know.
So I was tracking the damage that she was taking and that she was burning. She was on fire, and it was kind of a bit of a race of, is she going to burn to death, or is the ritual going to be completed? And if you had not have killed yourself, I probably would have had it that the ritual would have been completed. But you doing that, potentially she could have just been burnt to death and died. But instead, having Brian like throwing her into this kind of orb of light that is appearing was like, okay, great.
Cooler way to finish it.
Yeah, like it's more, more like Indiana Jones villain death than simply just being burnt. But realistically, after her being hit by that bottle, which did a boatload of damage, and the flames, like, she is still a human being. And to stop the main part of the ritual is literally just killing her. And
shouldn't have thrown that gun away. It might have been handy. But I'm terrible with guns, so I was like, this useless pistol.
But yeah, like, no, the end was kind of this like very careful, like, me comparing a bunch of different things, and was just kind of just waiting to see, right, is there a massive heavy fail? Is there a really good success that happens? And I'm basically just going to let whatever is the most kind of cinematic thing.
Oh yeah, it really felt like we were, there was a good chance we were going to not pass this, and not have a happy ending sort of thing. Or, I mean, not that you get many happy endings in Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
But, it really felt like it was like the end was nigh.
This was the happiest end we could have hoped for, honestly. I don't think I've ever seen a Call of Cthulhu game end quite so,
No, they're always
like, calmly.
brutal.
Yeah, like, no, you managed to wrap it up. It's kind of like, it does have a bit of like a bleak bit of like, you guys,
you're just nobodies now without the juice.
You kind of fade into obscurity, and there's a little bit of like,
that's delightful though in the mythos. That's what you want. You don't want the eye to notice you again.
Yeah,
True.
I think is a good way to look at it. But yeah, after your adventures and the trials and tribulations you've been through, just like your reward is, I guess you just live normally, which is actually pretty good in Cthulhu as far as that goes.
Your car's fine as well.
Yeah, didn't you ruin my car?
Your car's okay.
Yeah. No, you managed to keep that.
There's such dad energy in that, wasn't there? It's like, well, this isn't your car.
Oh yeah, it's easy to say about.
Expensive car.
And I can't do this as a tax write-off.
It's a tangent, but my mum, when she went into labour with me, my cousin had to take her to the hostel in his new car, and he started laying down sheets in the back seat. And everyone's just like,
And she's just
urgency,
like, hurry the
please."
fuck up. It's very important. A bug monster is about to burst out of me at any moment.
Here I am.
Yes, yes.
So I guess we like wasted a lot of time just like creeping around the distillery and stuff, right?
So that kind of wasn't too big a problem. It was basically the moment that you laid eyes on the ritual was kind
that's when
of
the clock starts ticking.
Yeah,
properly.
like, you know, there's always these like little bits. Like, if you guys have spent more time searching for Pyrian's character, I wouldn't just be like, "Oh, actually, the ritual's completed. The game's over." It's
Ritual you
like,
haven't seen yet, a location you haven't been to.
yeah,
Yeah.
you fucked it. I don't want to ever do that. Like, I'm always gonna have some sort of like triggers that
Yeah,
will
makes sense.
make the next scene kind of come in, because I want there to be a bit of a cinematic finale. If you're playing this game much harder, and I know some people play this way more ruthlessly, they would just have the countdown clock and just be like, "Oh, you took too long. Give me a drive roll getting over there. You fucked it. Great." The ritual happens, and then.
But it's like, I always think it's all very well playing it that way, but it would be like a movie where, I mean, there are definitely movies like No Country for Old Men springs to mind, where there's, spoiler alert, the main sort of, what we thought was the main character dies off screen, and then Sheriff Ed arrives, and there's the dead body, and that's the end of his story.
Yeah.
And in the book, I'm pretty sure it happens that way, but it certainly happens off camera. And I think in a film, it can work if you have multiple threads, and obviously we as the viewer have a kind of God view of the whole story. But if you're telling people a story and you're like, something off camera has happened and you've lost the game, why would you ever do it that way? I mean, if there was some kind of competitive Cthulhu that you could win the game that way, then
Well,
fair
yeah.
enough. But it was like,
No, because we're doing this to tell a fun story. Right?
Yeah.
So it's got
but
to
now
be
it's like when the story
satisfying.
ends and a ritual that you have no idea was taking place has completed, and something else that you don't know what it is has happened. But the game is over. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good day, sir.
Thanks.
It's not like there aren't stakes in the way Tom does it, though, either. Like, there's plenty of stakes. You know, we can still win or lose at the end.
Oh,
and
yeah.
also, like, how much you win by or lose by can be very, you know, the stakes are very high in this scenario, as Tom mentioned at the very end of the game with talking about the end of the world stuff. You know, it's very kind of spooky stuff, really. It can really go wrong if you... And we, as characters, didn't really comprehend the sort of stakes, really. I think sometimes when I found it a bit difficult to get into this character for some reason. I think it's the accent. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was a bit sort of reticent. Also, I had a lot going, you know. I mean, these multi-talented guys, I'm both a charismatic scientist and it's like a character from a Hollywood scientist from like the Three Body Problem, right, where they're all supermodels. You know?
Right.
I find it very hard to like have I like my character to be one-sided almost, or one thing.
I definitely agree. Like, I think having something a bit more just tropey or almost one-dimensional, something you can kind of embellish that and go further with it, especially in a one-shot where
That's the thing, isn't it? Where we're only playing this for a few hours. We don't want the most nuanced.
But I think you
character.
did
you don't need a lot of
Ben did
complexity.
so well getting in using his character and his character traits in everything he did.
You even got the accounting in there.
multiple
And not just
times.
once.
Yeah.
It was like
It's the only thing I'm
really
good at.
spectacular.
Honestly, every single stat of mine is 20, 30, 40, except for accounting, 80, appraisal, 75.
Yeah,
You played it
I'm only good
perfectly.
at music and fighting, and that's really.
and you
then
did,
everything else.
and
is
Well, you got to get
honestly,
your music in at
the
that time.
song,
Music.
Pyrian, the song was my favorite thing.
that was
I think
so
I've ever
good.
had in any of these.
So good. We need to give that to a jazz musician and
Let's
turn
hear
this
it.
into a full
make
thing.
juice happen.
Yeah, like just have that coming out.
I really thought I was onto something when I was like trying to snake charm the beast, and you were like, "It doesn't attack you." I was like, "It's all about music. That's why my character's here." Got very main character about it, and then realized actually I'm whistling at this thing, and it's like fucking whistling at.
I was convinced as well, though. I thought we were all, because you were languages and I was numbers, you were music and you were science.
Yeah, I thought
so
it
I
was
was like,
all
this is a
coming together.
theme where their language is just like the universal mathematics that underlie reality.
Right.
And we all understand a different aspect of that single principle.
Yeah.
And I really
honestly
thought that was going somewhere when you
Yeah.
did that, and then no.
And then it would be like, oh, and now some numbers appear on the wall, and Ben's like adding them up in his mind. He's like, and starts reciting the totals, and then another language appears, and Bryony translates the language. I thought, of course.
It's all
But then
coming
I'm also
together.
thinking, if they had done that, why would they give us the unique power to destroy the ritual? And why would you pick those 4 people? That doesn't make any sense, does it? So,
Well, I guess
yeah.
we have the connection, and they
Yeah,
have to
something
use
like
it.
Yeah, that you were the sort of like the honed keys, and also like that was you guys just started doing that bit of like, great, I want to try and charm the creature, do a
terrible
thing.
idea.
No, but it was like, I love this. I want to see where this goes. Give me a dice roll. You'd rolled really well, and was like, sure. I think the creature it's just been born. It's just turned up, but it now is instantly recognizing like, oh, you are the person I have to protect.
Right, yeah.
And so definitely
Mummy.
Terrible job.
had that.
Drove me insane.
Yeah, because it's a big scary bug
Scary
monster.
monster.
Why don't you love me, mother?
But no, then when Lewis, when you were like, you want to join in and kind of chant to the music that he was playing, and was like, sweet, I've already got something prepared. Yes, you begin chanting, and the creature is recognizing like, boom, you're another person. Make sure that you guys survive, and so would have had a potential situation where it would have hurt you or could have attacked you guys. But you 100% had worked out a scheme and was
I
like
like that.
more than happy.
It was good to have a plot reason for the monster not to attack you guys, because otherwise it would just seem super convenient that it just killed all the mobsters and left you guys alone.
Yeah.
So that was way
That
more
should be a clue for us, I guess, in a sense. Like, I think either way works. I think it's difficult, right, when you're trying to role play a character and you're trying to also solve the mystery a little bit, and it's like my character's had just undergone some severe crazy thing. I think he would do this in this situation, but I actually think we
Yeah,
probably
but
should
you
do
know
that.
that's not going to help push the scenario forward.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that you often can run into in Cthulhu. Of there are kind of certain fundamental rules that you have to play in a meta way of, like, you don't instantly just go to the police, like the spooky house.
I've tried this before with Tom, and it doesn't quite work.
Why don't we just go home? It doesn't seem like it's our problem. Because suddenly the game just kind of falls
Yeah.
apart. Like, you have to have the players
You got to engage with it
want
properly.
to be like, it's up to us to solve this mystery. And it just is.
Yeah, that'd be a shit episode of Scooby Doo, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of
The
just
van
like,
just drives straight through the town.
yeah, literally, it doesn't even stop.
That ghost is not our problem.
Oh, there goes some meddling kids. That's fantastic.
And so, like, it's one of the reasons why I kind of was hot to try this scenario out, because I liked the startup that immediately you guys are in the thick of the game. That you've been embroiled in this mystery, and like, I was glad that you guys were very much worried of the threat of a bug monster is going to burst out of us, and being able to use that as like a little nudging,
kick, yeah.
like, oh, you
I
guys
think
are
you do need
exploring a
that.
bit.
Yeah, you
Boom,
need
this
that
is
pressure because
getting-
we've all got quite intellectual, timid, non-physical characters. So it's hard to force them into a confrontation.
To be super gun ho to do
Yeah.
a thing, and so kind of like strapping on this time limit. At least, you know, even though it's not really, I'm still going to wait until you get to the place before I trigger the next.
Yeah, I mean,
Of
we're
that,
riding
I
this
can-
roller coaster. We gotta see it through. I think there's a certain tipping points where you are in the game and you're like, okay, I guess I'm in it. I'm jumping in with both feet now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and yeah. So sometimes you might not do what the most realistic thing a person is doing, but you know, I think a lot of the fun of just a role playing game in general is, you know, do something that is cool.
you get to
know,
kiss that bug.
kiss the bug.
I lean in.
Bug did not kiss you.
Well, can I just say thanks, Tom, because you're always so good at running these, and I really enjoy playing in your games. So thank you for inviting me to it. I'm sure we all
Oh, of
enjoy
course.
playing in Tom Mystery Quest games, because you really are an excellent DM, and I appreciate how much you roll with the goofy stuff we come up with, and it's refreshing.
I put that down to being a lazy games master. And if you guys come up with fun ideas, it means I don't have to worry about that stuff.
You're too
And
modest.
is the moment that you're like, I want to jump in the truck, I'm like, 100% yes. You want to go and do a thing on the piano? Cool, I'm into that. You want to threaten these guys?
Oh, God.
Every now and again, we'll be like, okay, give me a moment to think about this, because I just need to try and look at all of the divergent timelines of like, wait, how can this go? Because I still need to make sure, like, I still want 1 or 2 core beats to happen in this game, just for my sake and just to give you some information.
Yeah.
But no, I'd
Go
rather
and
people.
Doctor Strange it for a second.
Yeah. And I want people to do weirder and wilder stuff, like, because I hope it makes it feel like the players have more agency in the
it was great.
game. Like, never really want people to feel too railroaded. Like, it does happen in one shots that sometimes like, or at least in a game like this, it's not that complicated. There were really 2 locations, and you're in one, and it points you to the other one. That it's not so much like a railroad as just crossing the street kind of thing. But yeah, I want the players to have a good time and
We had fun.
do some,
Yeah, it was
do some
great.
wacky
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
But no, I think it was like a pretty good one. It was like pretty bleak ending.
I don't know, man. I survived and lived my life, and I'm a wealthy
And his
man.
car's fine.
My car didn't
Your
get
car
scratched.
is
I didn't
fine.
get scratched either, actually,
Yeah.
apart from my mind.
Your car is. So, I mean, at the start, when I was like a scientist, I thought I could be a guy who's made up all of these cool inventions. And I started to think of all these. I started writing them down. Like, I could have all these things in my pocket that I'd pull out as it went along.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, like silly putty. I was thinking, oh, when could I pull some silly putty? But after I realised it was just too zany, I was like,
I think immediately having like
Mr. Potato Head. I've written down all this stuff that I invented, and I was like, how am I going to
get this into the?
How am I going to
How am I
establish
going to use this in a bar fight with mobsters?
Slinky? I've written down Slinky.
this incredible sexy toy inventor.
I know it just didn't quite fit. No, I mean, the yo-yo and then like the Jackson's triangle. I felt like that wasn't really landing, so I gave up on my Pez dispenser, my wind-up teeth.
What would the monster have made of those?
I was also thinking about having a hand buzzer. You know, one of them. I just wrote that. I had all these
I
brilliant
want to see
ideas.
this alternate timeline where Lewis is just the fucking Inspector Gadget.
I just totally pulled the plug on that whole thing.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, when you were first like, I attacked the guy with my yo-yo, there was a little bit of me like, okay.
Like I saw it. I saw
Let's
it in
see
your
what's
eyes.
happening. I'm so sorry if that ever put you off.
No.
I think if you'd have got a few more toys out on the table, but it would have been someone talking about, okay, yes, Marxism applied to the people, and just like, Mr. Potato Head. And then you talking about, like, yeah, I thought of the juice. He's like, have you guys seen my slinky? It would be.
This is exactly how it went in my head. And I played it out. I was like, this isn't going to be worth doing.
Just imagine the scenario where he's like, I'll create a distraction. I should run to the top of the stairs and he's like,
Slinky go down it.
Everyone's going to be amazed.
And just, wow, distraction form. You guys have solved the ritual with the wind-up teeth that have walked into the middle.
If we ever get stuck, we can ask my magic 8-ball. What shall we do?
Stop the ritual.
Okay.
I deployed Barrel of Monkeys.
Wow. Oh my god, yeah. I think it would have been quite hard to get all of those items in.
Maybe in a long campaign.
Yeah.
But in a one shot.
Like,
Working 8 different toys in that would have been a challenge.
I would have loved to have seen alternate toy inventor universe. Would have been absolutely bonkers. Yeah, well,
It's not to be.
no, it wasn't your time. Maybe next time we'll write a game where the toy inventor he can be in
my God.
doing all of his stuff.
Wild.
I did. I got a website of like 50 Karl Marx quotes. And I tried to like wheedle as many of them into the
Nice.
session as I could.
You
I
did
only
an
did like
uncanny
6.
job of remembering them, Ben. I think secretly you were probably a communist.
You have them written down.
No, I had them on my phone,
Oh,
and every
wow.
now and again I'd be like, "That's a good one. Let's use that." Like,
Religion is the opiate of the masses.
yes, of course.
I liked your character's voice. It just made me laugh.
Makes him
it
so
was so good.
tedious.
Yeah.
The way I was like, here's the plan, and you were like, car is quite expensive. Shit. That was
The way
really
your character developed from being this like quite boring sort of guy, and then all of a sudden he's lockpicking and having an affair with his secretary.
Yeah. I was like, what
Dark
the
horse.
heck? Hello.
I don't like to talk about that side of my life.
Ooh, your secret dark horse past. Yeah, I don't know why you're so good at lockpicking.
No, it's weird. All my other stats are like very much accounting related, except for
They're
lockpicking.
just tossed in. I think it's because whoever wrote the scenario. I mean, you didn't make these characters. Did you?
No,
With it.
these are
So
pre-generated
they
characters.
always think like, well,
Someone
look,
will
we've
need
got
it.
this guy can sing, but then most of the time you're not going to be singing.
Yeah.
So what can we make him good at? And he's actually surprisingly dexterous, educated, good at listening and fighting.
Listening makes sense for a musician.
Yeah.
Right? Got a good ear.
But then, like, what's your stealth?
20.
So mine's 35. My sleight of hand is 30. Psychology 40. You wouldn't want to lean on any of this.
No.
But it's like in a pinch, I guess.
I guess they're just making sure that
got enough.
someone's got a bit in something somewhere.
There's a
'Cause if
little
you had a
bit.
one shot and it was 4 basic fighters, you'd be like, "There's a locked door." You'd be like, "Well, we're out of ideas." Get the axes out.
We
I guess.
fight it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't hate that.
I would love to do a D&D one shot where everyone's a wizard or something.
Yeah.
That would be
And then one goblin comes out and they're
Yeah,
like, fuck, he's got
"Oh,
a
no,
knife.
he's got a knife."
Yeah.
Cantrip, cantrip. Yeah, that would be funny.
But no, like the all barbarian party is like great. There is no subtlety whatsoever.
That's the RimWorld start. The tribal
yeah.
start in
Tribal start,
RimWorld. Yeah.
And
Just loads of pemmican. We've got
Yeah.
loads of pemmican.
but just big, just a bunch of big, strong boys. There is no talking. It is just.
Same problem with the locked door then. There's a locked door. I'm out of ideas.
I guess we kick it in.
Smash door.
Okay, and you just smash your way around.
Who has harded head? Use him as battering ram.
What is battering ram?
That's too high
Genius.
tech. One of them pulls out his slinky. I think you guys did very well. You all used a bunch of your skills. You did maths and
It was fun.
language and music and all of that good stuff. And so I'm glad you had fun with Cthulhu and
Loved it as usual. Yes,
it's always
thank you,
good
Tom.
fun.
you like surprisingly for the amount of like little dribs and drabs of sanity loss, there wasn't any too big mega failures
I went
outside of
mad.
outside of
I
the
went mad.
I guess you ran off and Bryony had gotten lost in the juice and gone to join. So there was, if you guys had failed a few more sanity rolls later, so I really wanted you guys to open the still where they're making the juice because,
Are these
in
milking
it?
bugs in there?
well, so I had so it was going to be like 2 different ideas. Either big fat bloated bug queen or something, do a slurm style.
My first thought when this started was, this is a slurm thing.
Well, that's why I was hoping we would find in the barrel. I thought we'd find like some sort of squeezed out bug remain or something, you know.
Yeah, or like have crushed up bugs or something, like make it super gross. Or if you would have got this other handout with all these people who have been like the failures, would have been like, oh, you remember these guys as locals.
Oh, right.
And have you like kind of open it up and find their like bloated botfly ridden bodies all like floating in this mixture and you're actually drinking their remains or something as they just still like just wanted something very horrific. But
Or it's Pepsi.
it's just it's just a peepus and
We
yeah, so-
definitely figured it was something gruesome.
oh yeah, and I just really wanted you guys to like look into it.
I was thinking it might be like oyster sauce. I
Ooh, just actually, it's really nice.
was wondering what that secret little tang was.
That fishy extra taste.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, that had not come up. But if you guys if more of you had have gone mad at the end, so there is like a hard rule of if 3 people all ever start chanting at once, the ritual is immediately completed.
Oh my god! So we got close there because me and
So-
Brian
Two of
were
you
doing
were
it.
at one
Yeah.
point.
Two of you were chanting,
Jeez.
and that.
Well, I'd lost like 25% of my sanity. Like,
Oh
it
my
wouldn't
God,
have taken
yeah.
much more. To
Yeah,
lose
so
it.
we should have probably been making you do proper indefinite insanity, but like the roles that we had were sort of just more like panicking and
Yeah.
stuff that did make sense at the time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like if we had have had like one last kick to like push you over the edge, and if you had have started chanting as well, immediately it would have just been
Pop.
kapow. Time and space have merged. The future and the past are now here.
You have to be
Would we
bloody
have died?
careful.
Or would we have existed as some kind of gods?
Depends on how it was looking. Either if you guys had have like tried to flee, or you were further away, or like super trying to resist it, I would have had you turn to dust and get sucked into becoming just time energy or something like that. And great, now these creatures have come back and they're now constructing their gigantic libraries in modern day or in 1920s Chicago, and I don't know, using all their humans as slaves driven around by these bug men to make these gigantic things for them, or they eat all the humans, or everyone's gone insane. There's some kind of giant flying sky polyp floating around.
Not the sky polyp.
There's a lot of ways it could have gone super duper bonkers and wild. I would have kind of tailored it to kind of call back as much to whatever you guys had done. Like had like half a dozen ideas, especially from when I was giving you guys the visions earlier, when you were drinking the juice. We'd just have stuff that would reference those visions,
Right.
depending on like how many you'd had and whatever you guys seem to be biting on the most. That if you were convinced about a certain thing being true, it would have been more likely the end would have matched that kind of thing more closely.
That
And
makes
so,
sense.
like, we'll often like tailor stuff to sort of just match whatever you guys are up to. Yeah, would have been something pretty bad. Maybe you would have lived in this weird time, future, past, or just have you all one by one, you evaporate, and just whoever is the last person who isn't like chanting, have them just looking at everyone turn into these columns of light and fly into this thing, and you have to witness the end of the world firsthand.
Wow, yeah.
Could have also been a great thing,
Good way
but
to do it.
any of those would have been fun, if that's the right word. Sad ending. But no, you guys got the good.
Cool.
And
Good for us. Well done.
Well done.
Well
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 done.
done, everybody. Good job.
Good ending.
Yeah.
These characters come back. That's true. You can have more of them. That's nice, isn't it? Nice to end a Call
They're
of
a bit
Cthulhu
OP,
game
I
where the
think.
people are.
I
It's
can
true.
have them
They're a
come in
little
as,
bit
like,
OP.
NPC cameos?
Well, not Harry, obviously.
Not Harry.
Got 85 luck was pretty mad, though.
That was
That was
pretty.
spicy.
That saved you bacon a few
pretty
times.
I
good.
didn't take the mickey with that too much. I could have been like,
No,
I'll
no,
use
for
80
sure.
luck.
No, there was a point where you were like, you want to use 20, and I was like, that's fine, because
That was a big one.
it's often recommended in one shots that you only ever let people spend a maximum of 15 luck in one go.
Oh, right.
Just because if you have a ton of luck, it means you can just hard.
Yeah.
Well, you have no reason to save it, right?
Exactly.
In a one
It's
shot.
not like a normal character where you want to.
Yeah, in a
Because this
regular
is to last you
game-
your entire life.
Yeah.
Not just like one adventure.
Yeah, and so normally you are not spending luck very, very hard at
Indeed.
all. But you all did great.
Cool.
Well, I feel like that's a good time for us to wrap this up. I hope everyone has enjoyed watching this little series of Call of Cthulhu. It's always a pleasure to run. Always a big fan of it. It's one of my favorite systems. I really hope you're enjoying it at home. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Without your assistance, we would not be making any of this. It takes a load of time and effort and cameras, and we've got to have fancy lights.
We've got to.
Got it. Ugh, it wouldn't make sense without purple lights there.
No.
You wouldn't be able to tell.
My bowl of black M&Ms or whatever.
Oh yeah, the riders.
whole-
Oh
so I
god,
mean,
an
my
absolute-
trailer.
absolute nightmare.
Of course. And our voice coaches.
Oh,
They ain't cheap.
oh my god!
Well,
yeah,
they ain't cheap. They are cheap. That's why they're of it. That's why our voices are like this.
Accent coaches that come in and we spend every single day with. Oh god. Well, anyway. Until next time, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.